Thank God a subsidiary contractor tested it on ferrets, killed them deader than a hammer, and they found out this had happened. Then everything got shut down and quieted. Then we learned there were all these secret tests with people homeless being given it, being killed. And then Baxter, out of hundreds of big companies, is chosen to make the World Health Organization vaccine. I mean, this is really starting to get serious.
It's really evil, and there's actually 6 companies that are doing the vaccine. I had contact with 3. We not only had contact with Pfizer Pharmaceutical, which is another evil company, and I had November 2007 documents sent to me by a whistleblower in New Jersey at a health park there, which is, believe it or not, in a mall, that was playing around with H1N1, which is resurrected by the government, by, USAMRIID and CDC, etc. And they're also playing around with H5N1 and recombinants, and they're playing in mouse embryos and mouse hybrid embryos, okay? Most human hybrid embryos, where it's your part human, part mouse, okay? They're doing all kinds of ghoulish experiments.
And by the way, listeners, if you're ignorant about this, don't roll your eyes. Just Google animal-human hybrids. In fact, Google it right now, because the general public still doesn't know. They got chimpanzee humans, cow humans, spider humans, goat humans. They've got these creatures that might have 20 different animals in them, plants, insects. Pull up a human-mouse hybrid. Let's show folks that. And that's how they help make up a mouse pox that has a 90% kill rate in Homo sapiens sapien. The good old folks at New Silver Solution. And the website is supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. This is something that kills bacteria, viruses, you name it, well documented. They've got it down to a super small nano-sized particle. Supernaturalsilver.com. Check them out at Infowars.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. All right, I want to thank Justin in Mexico City. We'll stay in contact with him day to day as our contact there with what's happening. We'll pray for you, Justin. We appreciate you, and congratulations on your newborn daughter, but not just somebody from Mexico City, but somebody that was in a hospital. We'll take more calls for Dr. Deagle. Doc, time will tell with all of this as it unfolds, but there is no doubt that the globalists have engineered past plagues, that bioweapons have been used by governments to wage siege against populations since 1500 BC. And I've got the historical text here I want to go over coming up in the next segment. And we know they stand to gain from this, and I've been saying the last few months, there's no way they can get their agenda through politically raping the people, financially raping the people, unless they stage crises and then can pose as saviors and make people so worried about their very lives that they will accept the transition to open world government, which is now happening. And that's clearly going on right now. So whether this is real or hyped, they are using it. People aren't talking about Obama being for torture or leaving the troops in Iraq that was coming to a head. They're not talking about the $12.8 trillion that's been stolen by the banks. Mexico isn't on the verge of revolution anymore. This is just a godsend for the New World Order. And then you have all these drills and all these preparations in a crescendo leading up into March and April, and now all this happening. I mean, you put it all together, and just the evidence just stacks and stacks. And then we know they're lying about the real number of deaths and illnesses. Saying everything's fine, but then acting scared to death. This is just really wild.
Let me read a letter, actually, that's in a news report from Mexico by a respiratory specialist published literally 2 days ago. Dr. Antonio Chavez, a doctor working in Mexico City. And I'm going to quote...
that's BBC. That's BBC. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm a specialist doctor in respiratory diseases and intensive care at the Mexican National Institute of Health. There's a severe emergency over the swine flu here. More and more patients are being admitted to the intensive care unit. Despite the heroic efforts of all the staff, doctors, nurses, specialists, etc., patients continue to inevitably die. The truth is that antiviral treatments and vaccines are not expected to have any effect, even at high doses. It is a great fear among the staff. The infection risk is very high among doctors and health staff. There is a sense of chaos in other hospitals, and we do not know what to do. Staff are starting to leave, and many are opting to retire or apply for holidays. The truth is that mortality is even higher than what has been reported by the authorities, at least in the hospital where I work. It is killing 3 to 4 patients daily and has been going on for more than 3 weeks. This was reported on the 26th.
And it's now confirmed that the Mexican government, AP reports, knew about this March 18th. Go ahead.
Right. It is a shame, and there is great fear here. Increasing younger patients, aged 20 to 30 years, are dying before our helpless eyes, and there is great sadness among health professionals here. And this is from Alvaro Ricardez, Oaxaca City, Oaxaca, Mexico, in the capital.
And then he went on to say, you know, they're covering it up because they don't want to cause panic, but I think it's better at this point to go ahead and just tell the truth.
Exactly, and close the border, too, because these cases, the real high pathogenic ones, will come to San Diego, will come to Texas.
Okay, well, here's the issue then. Are we, okay, you're saying it's going to come to Texas and it's going to come to California.
Oh, yeah, it's coming real quick.
What I'm saying is, what is going to happen? I mean, so we're going to find out soon, though. If it's only Mexicans dying, then we know this is race-specific. What if it starts, killing people? Then we know we're in deep trouble.
Oh, yeah. In this capital of my state, Oaxaca, there is a hospital closed because of a death related to the porcine influenza. In the papers, they recognize only 2 people dead for that cause. My friends working in the hospitals or related fields say that the situation is really bad. They are now talking about 19 people dead in Oaxaca, including a doctor and a nurse. They say that they got shots, but they were told not to talk about the real situation. Our authorities say nothing.
Well, did you hear the Mexico City fellow saying 21 people died in the hospital he was
in? Yeah, I'm sure the numbers are far worse. Now, here's the real problem. If we have a high pathogenic flu, we don't know how many of these lethal genes. And if we had the gene clades, if they were published, we'd say, okay, it's acquired the PB2 gene. It's, let's say, got the polybasic amino acid on the H gene so it can grow in the brains. Now, here's how sneaky this virus is. This virus can incubate in your body, and they've already known this. Homeland Security knows it can grow 8 to 10 days, and you can be shedding virus. You don't have a temperature,
that was my
don't
next
have a cough,
point, is
don't have anything.
Yeah, well, it takes a while to get this, long incubation, which is really bad. And then people are sick for weeks and weeks and weeks. Speak to that.
Yeah, and it was not only sick, but the people that recovered, by the way, from the 1918 flu, they developed frozen man syndrome, which is caused by damage to the tectum of their midbrain. They developed Parkinson's disease, and they developed a very aggressive form of dementia years or decades later. I took care of them in the 1970s that developed these syndromes after surviving the 1918 swine flu pandemic.
All right, let's blitz through phone calls on the other side in our final segment with Dr. Deagle, MD, and we're going to go directly to your calls. Tom, Chris, Tony, Mark, Amber, and others. 1-800-259-9231. Phone blitz coming up. I'll recap all the top stories. We are pretty much exclusively covering this flu situation because we have to. Meanwhile, the globalists are stealing us all blind, and that's what they plan. We are here live Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. I come back Sundays 4 to 6 p.m. You know, it took many years of research to be able to admit to myself just how evil the globalists are and to face what their agenda is. Are we helpless, or will we defend our families and wrest control of the planet away from these madmen?
To summon back fire witch to the court of the crimson.
Let's go ahead and go back to Dr. Deagle on your phone calls. Tom in Texas, you are on the air worldwide as we have continual coverage of the bird, swine flu, human flu, designer flu scare. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Alex.
Hey.
Dr. Tenpenny had mentioned the randomness of the spread of this NWO flu. And I've been looking at maps of where these reported cases and suspected cases come up, and it looks like it's following the interstate trucking routes and popping up in, like, fueling depots or areas where you would have to get fuel.
Yeah, no. We have 30 million illegal aliens in this country, most of them from Mexico, 80+%, and there's millions of them going back and forth in any one week. That's one way to spread it. But you also have tourists all over the world, so that's one way. The issue, though, is it isn't killing people, but it hasn't really gone mega viral yet. It hasn't gone pandemic and it's spread yet. We don't know if it'll be pandemic and its mortality, or its morbidity, whatever the proper term is. And so that's the big issue. If it starts killing people in the West who have better medicine, who are healthier. But we've confirmed in Mexico it's killing the heads of museums. It's killing healthy people. It's killing people in coastal towns. It's killing farmers. Something stinks, and we're going to put this puzzle together in the end. Dr. Deagle, you want to comment on what Tom's saying?
Yeah, it's actually an ancient ceremony by these Satanist globalists. It's called the ceremony of the phoenix. It goes back to ancient Sumer, Egypt, etc. And what they're doing is they're using a bird, just like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds movie, his thriller, and they're using it as a vector to bring these genetics. And now they have a bridge virus they've released. And I don't believe that we're seeing the worst of it yet, by any means. I think that this may even, as Napolitano says, believe it or not, she's saying the truth this time. If it blows over in 2 weeks or 6 weeks, look out. And the reason is they're not doing anything to stop it. Now they're telling us they're going to make a vaccine, which is useless to an organism that's going to change, even if a vaccine would work. They're not talking at all about blocking the borders to prevent people that carry the more lethal strains up from Mexico or air travel.